Alright, we start this off now by saying greetings, everyone. It is a pleasure to see you all again. Jeffrey here, aka Ace of Zeros, back again with a new video about this whole entire thing going on right now. But before we get into the topic and the talk, let us take a moment to take in some nature. Where we are right now is a new building site for the house that my mother and my uncle are building together as their own little project of having a place where, just a new place where we can have more expanded interactions with friends, families, and all that kind of stuff. And the view is very much worth all that went into making it, and all that and everything. As you can see, I couldn't ask to be any more blessed to be here in this beautiful island of Jamaica and in some of the most beautiful parts of the island of Jamaica. And it is truly, truly the basis of my topic for today. And take a seat here. And the topic for today is send in the clones. What is unity consciousness, really? Unity consciousness has been finally, and talk that has been getting more and more attention and more light shed upon it, because it's naturally and vibrationally something that we are moving towards. The ones of us who've made it this far to being aware that something's going on and everything just feels like it's just going to change in an instant. And if we are not aware of what that change even means, then it feels like we're just going to be left behind. That feeling of, if you don't figure out why there's this urgent feeling, you just feel like you're going to miss something. And a major part of this feeling comes from the fact that we are truly on the precipice. As I've been mentioning in my previous videos, we are on the precipice of massive change, a huge jump. And those who watch my 2012 is happening right now video will understand even further that it's something that we can no longer ignore. Not even the most ignorant are being given the luxury of ignoring it, as long as they've consciously made that choice, at least at a soul level, consciously made that choice that they want to return back to oneness again. And people are more used to hearing this term of oneness, but not so used to hearing the term of unity consciousness. Well, taking it from a video game perspective, before I go into a more nature-based perspective, it's really like when you're choosing your, it's in terms of video game, like say an RPG kind of, a role-playing story kind of game, huh? We choose our character, or we just go with the character that's presented for us to go with. And in that entire thing, we start out not really knowing who we are, and everything just feels so distant and everything. It feels like you just wake up in a foreign land. You don't know who you are, so you give yourself a name. You don't know what's going on, so you just go with whatever guidance is given. In the case of a game, you will go with like the story being played, and the lore, and all the message promptings to say, hey, on the map, go to this location, and you will progress story-wise. Well, that's been what most people have started with coming here. And it's really and truly the same play by play, because it comes from a point where you start off so unconscious and feel like everything around you is just distant. But the more you become aware of what's really going on, the more you feel more connected to what's happening. And by the end of, say, for example, the video game analogy, you have everything coming together so well that you just feel like you get it. You feel like what you weren't aware of before suddenly suddenly just makes total sense as to why it started out this way, why it started out this way, and why you weren't even sure of your own purpose, your own value, until you reach the end and you see you are practically the shining star of your story. And in unity consciousness, what we're doing now is moving from. Hold on, hold on. I got some visitors. This rarely happens. Hold on, check this out, people. Blackbirds. Look at that. that rarely actually happens when I'm up here. So take that as a sign of what I'm talking about. That we're becoming one with. We're literally becoming one with our surroundings again. Because, case in point, we ourselves, our own bodies, are made up of these very things called our surroundings. Even from a science point of view, the same minerals and components found in literally our own natural environment is what we're made up of, plain and simple. And it gets even simpler when you acknowledge that, well, if we're all in the Earth's case, if we're all made up of the same things that make her up, aren't we essentially all a part of the Earth anyway? Despite perceiving this whole thing of, hey, we're our own individual being and we're not really locked to being only here on Earth, we can, well, for ones who are open to that, we can go to other star systems and other places outside the planet. We can literally go extraterrestrial ourselves, as is even accepted with space stations and moon landings and everything. But the point here is that no matter where you go, even when you think that you're distanced, you're so far distance to say that, oh, that is never a part of that. No, you're even at that point you are still a part of the planet. You're still the planet. Even no matter where you are, you're still a part of the planet, and the planet is still a part of you. And basically, people are getting to the point of realizing that if they're seeing their own planet, their own family, aka the family who they were told not, or even their family, just by saying, "Oh, they're not blood related to you. They don't matter. They're just strangers. They're just others from other countries." No, not really. No, not really. Family is actually a much bigger term than people were made to believe. And certain cultures, certain places in the world understand what I'm saying better than others. But the western part of the world, well, you already know that here is it's on this section especially where we're not so keen with that brothers keepers thing, where we're not even referring to each other as brothers and sisters or acknowledging our own parent whenever she's actually getting hurt and all of that. And you already know that there's more than enough talk about that. How we need to treat the earth better, we need to treat ourselves better, and that's what's building up this unity consciousness movement that's really going on right now. People try to make it sound very fancy, like, oh, the by fortification, aka splitting up the timelines, where one group that's actually resonant with the earth, where the earth is going to be able to unify more with her and ultimately unify more with the galaxy, while the others who clearly aren't resonating or don't even want to resonate are essentially going to have to go elsewhere or experience their own timelines elsewhere in their own matching vibratory realities. But to put all that simpler than even what I just said, it's just the fact that, hey, we're realizing more and more that this, all of this, for example, this tree right here, that tree is as much you are, all that you are, as much as it is you. It is you. All of this is you. Even the so-called synthetic stuff, it was still made from the earth, right? And even then, that's still you. And to take this even further for the ones who may not even consider it, this very concept of both time and space is still being is mainly being created, and it's not being just created out of nothingness, though people can talk about the void and all that, but there's still a common thing across the board for the construction of all reality, and that is energy, and whatever else you want to call it, but overall ultimately it's energy. We're all made of energy, and that energy is the same all across the board. And that energy is essentially the creator. That energy is the creator that created us, but it's still the creator within all of us. And that's where this concept of being one really comes in, is that you don't look at yourself as you start to no longer look at yourself as, hey, if something happens to that thing over there, it doesn't affect me. Then you start to change that perspective to say that actually I'd prefer if this tree here is well taken care of, that is not hurt, that is not chopped down unnecessarily, and I feel better when I'm around it because it feels like family. It makes me feel good to be a part of it rather than it being cut out of my life unnecessarily. And that's where we're going. We're going towards accepting that we are each other. And as pertaining the title of this video, clones. What are clones? Clones are basically copies of the same source. For example, are all copies of the same source. They're all made up of that same material. Where they're in a clone's case, they're not really all that differentiated. Probably a little bit differentiated, but overall, there's the key here is that it's like you're looking at yourself in the mirror and you're saying that, hey, I want to treat this one who I'm seeing in the mirror as well as possible, give them as much love and as much attention and as much focus and as much that will make that one in the mirror happy and and happy to be alive, happy to be what it is to exist. So really, it's a simple thing that where I mentioned sending in the clones is like, well, you're just wanting to take care of yourself better. And when you're literally doing that, then wanting to take care of each other better comes naturally. Because, well, it's natural from the very start. It's just the distortions and the various choices that didn't really go so well or didn't work out so well, that's where things got out of hand. But naturally, as you can see with newborn babies and how they interact, they're not even treating their own environment as something different. They see their own environment as themselves. So there's nothing complicated about this, and I'm glad that I could finally get this video out on this time, especially when with this full moon, deliberately making sure that we're actually facing both our reflections and shadows at the same time, and acknowledge that what we hold ourselves back from out of fear and out of feeling that everything's against us ultimately is not the case whatsoever. It's not the case. Once you face both and you acknowledge that both are you, when you acknowledge that it's all you and you don't want to hurt yourself, then guess what? You're not going to get hurt. You're not going to get hurt. The only part that really hurts is the parts that you were told to be but clearly aren't you. So that's what hurts. What hurts is not you. You don't want to hurt yourself. So we're all just releasing all of that which we are simply not, and or simply just not choosing to be anymore. But anyway, that is the video, and I'm glad you all could tune in and watch it this far, because this is my longest one yet, and I'm very glad. And it's an important topic too, because it's actually very huge, and much more about this to come later on for discussion and everything. So thank you all for tuning in. I will see you in whichever next one will ever be. But take care, release all that you're not, let it all play out as it comes, and overall, love yourself and choose love that is you. Choose you at the end of the day, and don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Take care, ace everything, and may all be peaceful at the end of the day for you. Take care.